All right, this explainer is for a very specific kind of person. Maybe it's you, the person who's always been told their curiosity is actually a weakness, because you just have too many interests.
We hear all the time about having grit, about not quitting too soon. But what if that's not your problem at all? What if your problem is you have too many things you actually want to stick with? You look at your life and you see a dozen different paths, and they all feel like a part of you. You're not afraid of the work. You're paralyzed by the choice.
Yeah, I could do anything if I only knew what it was. If that quote just hits you right in the gut, then you are absolutely in the right place. It's that frustrating feeling, isn't it? Being full of potential, but completely stuck on where to aim it. So, here's our game plan to turn that paralysis into a straight-up superpower. We're going to name the problem, figure out why the old career advice just doesn't work anymore, introduce this cool new idea, the M-shaped professional, and then I'll show you exactly how to build one. And finally, we'll get to the best part, uncovering the unique advantage that people like you have. Okay, first things first, let's put a name to this struggle. It's called the scanner's dilemma. Society has a not-so-nice word for people with lots of interests. Dilettante. It basically means you're a dabbler, someone without real commitment. The dreaded jack-of-all-trades, master of none. And man, the anxiety that label causes is huge. It can take your greatest strength, your insane curiosity, and make it feel like this career-ending flaw. Well, we're going to tear that whole idea down starting right now. But look, before we get to the solution, we gotta understand why the old career playbook is so broken. The world we live in now, it's a completely different game. Think about it like this. The old career world was a kind environment. It was like golf. The rules are clear, the course doesn't really change, and if you practice the same swing 10,000 times, you get better. It's predictable. But today's world, it's a wicked environment. It's much more like being a firefighter. The rules are always changing, feedback is often delayed, and every fire is different. What worked last time might not work this time. And that kind world was designed to produce the I-shaped person, the hyper-specialist, one deep, single pillar of knowledge. And don't get me wrong, we absolutely need specialists. But in this new, wicked world, that intense focus can create some serious blind spots. The problem was never that being an I is bad, it's that we were told it's the only way to succeed. So to really thrive in this wicked world, we need a whole new mental model. I want you to forget about job titles for a second. Instead, let's think about the shape of a career. Yeah, like geometry. Okay, so we've met the specialist, the I shape, a mile deep and an inch wide. The opposite is the trap many of us fall into, the dabbler, or the dash shape, a mile wide, but only an inch deep. This is where that anxiety comes from, right? Knowing a little bit about everything, but not feeling like you have a solid foundation in anything. But what if there's another way? There is. Meet the M-shaped professional, also known as the polymath. Now listen, this is not about being a jack of all trades. This is about building deep, real expertise, solid pillars of knowledge in maybe 2 or 3 different areas, and then connecting them with that broad base of generalist understanding you naturally have. Let's make this real. Imagine your first pillar is data science. You go deep on that. Then your second pillar is storytelling. Now that connecting bar across the top of the M, that's all your other interests, psychology, history, design. All of a sudden, you're not just a distracted data scientist. No way. You are that incredibly rare and valuable person who can look at a spreadsheet and weave it into a story that an executive can actually understand and act on. Okay, so the M shape sounds awesome in theory, but how do you actually build one? Let's get super practical. I've got a 3-part strategy for you. It's actually pretty straightforward. There are 3 parts. First is a concept called serial mastery. Second is rethinking the stable job. And third is creating what we'll call the external system. Let's break them down. First up, serial mastery. This is so important. You can't build all the pillars of your M at the same time. If you do that, you just end up as that anxious dash shape again. Instead, you pick one pillar and you commit to it for a season. You go deep. And when that season is over and you move to the next thing, you are not quitting. You are strategically graduating to your next pillar. And what's a season? We're not talking about a decade. For most skills, a really focused period of about 6 to 18 months is often enough to build a pillar to a level of fluency where you can solve most of the common problems in that field on your own. Number 2, the stable job.
We have to completely change how we think about our day job. A lot of us see it as a cage holding us back. But what if it's actually a strategic asset? I mean, think about Einstein. He developed his revolutionary theories while working a pretty boring job at a patent office. A stable job that pays the bills but doesn't drain all your mental energy? That's not a cage. That's a launch pad for building your other pillars. And third, the external system. Your mind is for having ideas, not for holding them. Think of your working memory like a small workbench. It can only hold a few projects at a time. If it gets too cluttered, you can't build anything new. So you need a system, something like Notion or Obsidian, to capture all those brilliant, fleeting ideas. Get them off the workbench and into storage so you can find them later and prevent that feeling of overwhelm.
Okay, so once you start building this M shape, something really cool starts to happen. You unlock a superpower. For real, let's talk about it. This superpower has a name. It's called far transfer. You see, a specialist gets really good at what's called near transfer, solving the same type of problem over and over. But a polymath, an M-shaped person, develops the incredibly rare skill of far transfer. That's the ability to see the deep underlying pattern in one area and apply it to a totally different, unrelated field. What does that even look like? Well, maybe someone who's into botany and understands how tree roots branch out suddenly sees a completely new way to organize a company's messy database. Or a musician who deeply understands harmony and counterpoint looks at software code and sees a more elegant, beautiful way to structure it. That's the magic. It's connecting things that no one else sees a connection between. So you see, all those random hobbies and weird interests you've collected over the years, they are not a liability. They're your secret weapon. They are a library of metaphors just waiting for you to pull from to create your next breakthrough insight. I really want you to let this sink in. This isn't just a career tip. This is a fundamental reframing of your identity. You are not a dabbler who lacks grit. You are a potential polymath designed to be a bridge between worlds of knowledge. Maybe you were never meant to master just one thing. Maybe you were meant to see how everything connects. And when you truly realize that, all that self-blame just starts to fade away. It's replaced by this quiet confidence that your brain isn't broken, it's just different. And that difference is incredibly valuable. So the only real question left is, what connections are you going to be the first to see?